We did this podcast called Entrepreneur on Fire. And Entrepreneur on Fire is, much like the Freddy Beach podcast, it's very subcult, it's very niche. Like it's not like the Joe Rogan podcast.
We're live.
Okay.
You want to tell the people maybe?
Hey folks, season 7, Freddy Beach. I'm glad you joined us. Now is a pertinent time because I was just talking to Phil and Brian, and I just met Brian for the first time. But everyone knows me, no problem, like telling anybody anything. So we were on a pod, we being like myself, the Jeff Alpa custom not this week for this. So, okay, what happened was we do the episode, whatever, and the stats is it's a kind of a subculty podcast. I was saying that, like, not everyone's heard of like the Joe Rogan podcast, but they still get 1.5 million listeners each episode, which for us is massive exposure and reach compared to, I guess, day to day, if you will, or anything we ever had. So I was like, I've been super jacked up about it for a long time.
Months.
I reached out to the host in like January. We did the episode in April, and then it's like it aired today. Okay. So like today, I was bracing like this was like going to be Normandy. Like we needed like max troops, heavy resistance on the objective, and I was like, I was up early, ready to man the phone in case people were calling and emailing and the whole thing, right? And because it is the type of podcast, like I myself have actually, it's 20, 25 minutes, and I've reached out to someone on it and been like, hey, like I think that is really cool, and and they'll be like, oh, hey, thanks, whatever, or exchange emails, or I'm going to call this guy on Monday who, you do end up kind of connecting with like entrepreneurs from all over America because it's very American. Yeah. And it ends up being pretty cool, right? It's a type of podcast where, much like ours, you feel like you could just call the person or email them.
Just call the person.
Yeah, exactly. And I had one, like it goes live at like 3 a.m., right? Or, early, right? Yeah. And I'm like, by like 11, I'm like, all right, no one cares, right? Like, shoulders hunched. And if you listen, I'm certainly not at my best. Like, I'm super, like, you can tell I'm nervous, I'm excited, I'm like, I'm stilted, I'm using and ah, even more so than I normally do, and all that. Like, that has anything to do with anything, because I'm sure most people don't care when this is a podcast, right? But then at 11, this guy calls, right? And I'm like, I just point anything, so I'm like, I pick it up, and the guy's like, there's kind of, he's in the States, and he's on his car, so is that like, hey, hello, right, kind of thing? And he's like, oh, hey, man, I was kind of just hoping to hear your voicemail. I heard your voicemail's hilarious. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, no problem, man. I was like, you want to call back? I won't answer, then call me back after. He's like, yeah, oh, yeah, definitely, right? So he calls back, and he calls me like, yeah, I love that. Don't give it to me. Don't give it to me slick. Give it to me quick part. He's like, we talked for 4 minutes. He's like, all right, dude. He's like, awesome podcast. I'll check out your website when I'm done driving or whatever, right? And everything like that. I heard from nobody else. Nothing else heard.
He phoned you to hear your voice?
Hear my voicemail, because you've called my voicemail.
Oh, yeah, your voicemail is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Phone Jeff's cell phone right now.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we call it on the line?
We have to call it on his phone, not mine, I think.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. It's friggin' interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to Brian.
Look, I got a text about that podcast. Maybe this guy listens to the Freddy Beach podcast and Entrepreneur on Fire.
It's possible.
Yeah, all the way out in Mississippi.
This thing's blowing up, I hear.
Yeah.
Okay, just a second here. Okay, what's this 700 number anyway?
Oh, it's based out of Alberta. Well, it's in Edmonton, because I was in Edmonton before here.
I don't know if it's going to work. I bet you this quality is
as long as you got on speaker or shit.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those guys, I got like 9 rings, just screwing everybody over who's watching. Like,
this is so late. Okay, we will get to Brian in a second here.
But now I'm curious. I have to hear this.
Oh, it's interesting.
Oh, yeah. No. We warm them up with the cheesy stuff, then we get the good stuff, the quality. That's coming. That's for sure coming down the pipe.
Okay, ready?
Places, everybody.
You better believe you've reached Jeff Alpa, Jeff Alpa Custom, home of the world's most dangerous thresher. Please leave me a message. Tell me why you called. Give it to me quick. Not give it to me slick. Think about it. After leaving a message.
and then that automated voice comes on, totally salts your game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Could have said it better myself.
Oh man, the first time I called that, I was howling laughing.
Yeah. The best one is someone call, and it's like very. you just don't expect someone's voicemail to be anything other than like it's Jeff.
Hello, this is Revenue Canada.
Yeah, totally.
I bet they have the worst voicemail ever. Actually,
100%.
All right. We got to do this.
Yeah.
So we're here today. Brian Dunphy, good guy I've probably known one of the longest in Fredericton, actually.
yeah, for 5 years or so.
So I think I'll do a quick intro. Brian, great guy around town. Was involved with Radiant 6 very early on. Is a software developer, UI guy. Was, maybe not anymore.
Definitely was. Emphasis on the was.
And then went on to One Lobby, and now is and a partner at Cvent, a big shot at Cvent. And I think maybe I'll let you go from there.
Wait, can I? Let's define some terms. I'll get you to define the terms rather than this guy. You're all over the place. No, I'm kidding. Radiant 6, not to insult his intelligence, but I'm sure there's folks out there who don't know, so I appreciate a little on that. Sure. I personally don't know what UI is. I'm sure. That's fair. Just insult my own intelligence.
So the shirt, the flowers on your dangerous dress shirt,
right?
That's the UI, man. It's the pizzazz. It's the.
Really, what does UI stand for?
User interface.
Oh, it's the user interface, of course. Okay.
So making it enjoyable.
Yeah.
Perfect. Actually, I can't know too many people in UI, so that's good to know.
So, Radiant 6, basically 2006 we started a company called Radiant 6 that did social media monitoring. It actually started in a completely different area. We were kind of doing like threat detection on the internet based on what people were saying.
Like cybersecurity type stuff?
Yeah, like early days cybersecurity.
What do you mean by based on what people were saying?
So, if you were online and you were monitoring blogs at the time, you would see people talking about like attacking a certain website or something like that. So we started in that area, and then we eventually sort of got into the social media monitoring space. Fast forward 4 or 5 years, we became kind of the market leader out of 400 competitors.
Right.
Based here in Fredericton, we had offices in Halifax, St. John, and we had some people in the UK as well. We actually acquired a company there.
Social media monitoring, is the purpose targeted ads, or is there a few different things?
So back then, Twitter just came out, so we didn't really have a means to understand what people were saying about brands or whatever it was, like a political movement or brands or that kind of thing on social media.
I put myself in those shoes where now it seems self.
Yeah, it's totally commoditized.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So you'd go on and you'd figure out what people were saying about Jeff Alpa custom, and you'd be able to kind of track that and graph on it over time, really understand where your major sort of buzz is coming from, that kind of thing. 2011 we sold to Salesforce, 326 million or something like that.
I
always wonder the negotiation, like, how did that last? When you go 325, that's not okay.
Yeah, full disclosure, I was the first developer there, first guy in the door developing software. Wasn't involved in organizing the deal, anything like that. I didn't find out about the deal until the day.
You're making the great content, so those guys have bargaining chips.
Sure.
So when you say the first developer in the door, like how many folks have been in the organization when you started, or do you start right at the beginning?
Right at the beginning. I started coding in my condo before we had an office, basically. So.
Really?
Yep.
So you are a founder?
Yeah, co-founder. Yeah, there was about 3 or 4 of us at the time, so.
It's pretty sweet.
Kind of started in the Tim Hortons on Bishop. If you really want to be technical, we had a couple initial meetings there. Yeah. Tim Hortons was the unofficial sponsor of Radiant 6.
All right.
That's amazing.
So fast forward past.
Well, what about One Lobby? That's something that folks got to know about.
Yeah. So I got kind of bored at Salesforce about a year later. Decided to take a 2-month leave of absence, or no, I think it was 3 months. And about 2 weeks into that, I actually quit my job, and I co-founded One Lobby with Jordan Smith, Jason Meisner, Todd Murphy was there at the time, and Boyan, Jamie, and Andrew. So we just went off, decided to do a tech company. Many trials and tribulations in that couple years of my life. We went through founder issues. We let some people go, and we eventually switched CEOs to me. And then we hit a bunch of founding issues again and roadblocks in terms of funding and all kinds of stuff. Ultimately, we decided to lay some people off, and we were going to shut the company down. Within probably about 3 weeks after laying people off, I flew down to Washington, D.C. with a couple of the other founders, and we spoke to Cvent, and we convinced them to buy us. So
what is Cvent?
So Cvent, world's leading event management technology company.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so I mean they're doing registration, survey products, event mobile apps. They also have hospitality cloud solutions, so like things for hoteliers, suppliers, that kind of stuff. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, so I mean it's been a wild ride, and now we're doing well in Canada. We've got probably about 60 employees in Canada, grown from 5 people to 60.
But you're still with One Lobby as under the Cvent umbrella.
It's just Cvent. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
right. So it's not the One Lobby name.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So I remember that period where you laid, because we were in Play on Hatch.
Yeah.
And I remember you laid them off. And then a couple weeks later, you guys were still having meetings. And then a couple weeks later, everyone came back.
Yeah, so...
And I was like, what is going on?
So there's a funny story there. So, I don't know if...
Bring it out.
I don't know if Mike LeBlanc is watching, but I apologize to Mike LeBlanc. So, 3 of our developers had basically signed on with him. One of them had already started and was working, in the building, working on a contract. 2 other guys were actually supposed to sign on in a couple weeks and start. And sort of a part of the deal is an acqui-hire, right? So we had to get the talent. So we kind of convinced them to come back, and within a couple weeks, most of them were back in the office, and we were all of a sudden on contract or soon to be employed by Cvent. So it was a little awkward because you never want to do that to an employer. I mean, Mike's a great guy, and everybody that has accepted an offer before would certainly feel bad rejecting that or tearing it up or whatever. So, but that's where we're at. So.
How did how did they feel, like the team feel personally, just of the roller coaster?
It was definitely tough times. I think everyone understood the risk getting into it, right? Like
totally.
You guys are in startups, you understand the risk. Could go out of business tomorrow. It really got real when money started to get involved, and you realize that hey, there's a runway, and it's not the Fast and the Furious runway where it just goes on forever. It's literally, it's ended.
Yeah,
the world is
like the car will stop. It'll be a problem.
The world is flat, and it's a cliff, and you're going to fall off of it in flames.
The world is flat.
So, I often say that if you want to burn money, there's no quicker way to do it than a startup. I don't think you could throw $20 bills into a burn barrel as fast as you can burn money in a startup. So, so anyway, they handled it well. They're all still with us today. Happy to say.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
So you now have. So that's something I want to bring up. So, an experience, company, I'll say it, that didn't go so well.
Yep.
But turned into a U.S. company looking at it and saying, hey, here's an opportunity for us to get some people that are obviously motivated, talented, and now you're at 60 people in Fredericton?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's I kind of look at it as success on the other side,
Absolutely.
Right? So it's not the big splash success that you hope to get from an exit from building a great product and so on, but it's a good thing for the province. We're growing tons of opportunities. So
I think it's just as impressive, honestly, because I look at it and say that's a great outcome. Because really, what you're trying to do is show that people here are motivated, can do this stuff, and then you get the outside investment.
Yeah.
In one way or another. Yeah,
it can go.
I'm super
much worse.
Passionate about that. Yeah. So that's why I'm all worked up. But so okay.
So you want? I can hit him with 1,000 questions.
Give me the tough ones, man.
Oh, let's just start with the easy ones to lull you into a false sense of security.
I like it.
You know what I mean?
This is the military strategy coming out. I like
100%. So let me ask you this. Okay, tell us about how you got to 60. So you had a bunch of founders, sure, right?
Yeah.
And this actually isn't a facade. I have no idea.
Sure.
Is it easy to get those guys? And I'm not trying to put anything against anything, but was that difficult? There's been a lot of turnover in that, getting the right guys. And I'm genuinely curious because I'm somebody who's I consider myself always recruiting for my own company.
Yeah.
And I've got no one really but me and a couple. You see what I'm saying, right? It's
you and your seemingly twin brother, right?
Exactly.
Who's working in Asia.
Exactly. He's a year younger than I am,
but
essentially my twin. Yeah.
Was he born on the December 31st and you were born on the 1st or something?
Basically, we are 14 months apart. Okay. It was
it's been easy compared to maybe startup land. It's harder to convince people to quit a good job and come to a seemingly cool job, cool opportunity, but low pay, no benefits. There's upside obviously. But with Cvent, we've grown. over 10x, and we've only lost one person in the 3 years that we've been doing this so far. So,
what's the secret to success on that, though?
It's organic recruiting. So it's hiring people. If you didn't know one of us for the first 2 years, chances are you weren't getting hired.
Right.
So it's vetting through the ecosystem. It's talking to some guy from 3 jobs ago who worked with this guy and getting feedback about him on the side, right? Mm-hmm. And once you get the critical mass of people that like each other and have worked together and vouch for each other, no one wants to poison the well, right? No one wants to hire somebody that's going to ruin their job.
Right.
So that's kind of a powerful thing. We're just starting to get outside that now. We're just starting to hire people that are not known to us.
Well, because 60 people, you've run out of the
quick hits, yeah.
Yeah, the 2 or 3 guys in circles or in periphery circles at that point, right? Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. I have a question, if you don't mind. So now I know you're opening up offices all over Atlantic Canada, or that's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we've got remote people in Halifax, St. John, and Moncton, basically. Right. Yeah. So I call them pants optionals.
Right.
Yeah, because they don't have to wear pants if they don't have a meeting, right? Because you're just
in the
away stuff.
Yeah.
I've never done that. How is that different? And what do you do there? Like, do you got to find a guy in each location? Just a quick question.
Yeah, I mean, we had opportunistic things. So we actually, there was a really cool startup called Toplog. You probably remember those guys. They were unfortunately going through some tough times, and their developers were on the market. So we kind of swooped in, and I talked to Ozge, and she basically said, I've got 3 guys that are really good. They work well together. Is there any job out there for them? I was like, I'll hire them all today. So we figured out a way to hire them. 3 people that have worked together, know each other. That's immensely powerful for us, right?
Yeah, and you got a great testimonial.
Exactly.
From someone you respect and trust.
Yeah, I mean, then you've got a home base in that city. You've got some people you can trust, and then you hire another person outside of that. So we've got 4 people in Halifax. We've got 5 people in Moncton, and 7 people in St. John, something like that. A lot of it, again, has just been like, I know really good people that from my past career in Radiant 6 and Salesforce that live in St. John, or somebody else does that moved to St. John. Because the Maritimes is small enough that people kind of move around a little bit for opportunities, and just because
you're
so
far.
Yeah. And if you're only living an hour away, I mean, that's hardly a remote employee, right? It's
So, you said UI and then a few other things. You said that's past.
Yeah.
Tell us about present.
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know what you do, actually.
I don't have a real job. I mean...
Tell us more about that. He's living the dream, folks.
No, I mean, I get to talk to people all day. I get to interview people. I get to talk to the people that I've hired. We do a lot of, I do one-on-ones with roughly 60 people a month. So that's, 2 or 3 a day. Keep those connections alive. I interview anywhere from 5 to 10 people a week, usually. I have walk-ins now. I have people that walk into my office with a resume. So,
really?
The guy, the nervous Phil Curley that comes in with his, his khakis on and his tucked-in dress shirt, and he's kind of shaking his hands while he hands me his resume.
That's me.
I interview those people all the time, and I love it because it just brings me back to the core of what we do, and it's starting that career in software development or whatever it might be, being 18, 19, 25, whatever it is, and having to go out there and get a job. It's kind of scary if you think about it.
So let me ask you a question about why are you guys able to be so much more aggressive in the hiring than Atlantic Canadian companies? Is it just because you have this?
So there's a cost advantage. No one's going to lie about that. The other side to it, I think, is that because we've got this organic recruiting thing on our side, not a lot of metro areas can say that, within our company at least. So it's rare for somebody to be able to say, well, I can find you 20 guys tomorrow that have this background and that we know, right? So we leverage that network. You get a city of 1 million, 2 million people, I mean, it's very difficult to do that, right?
And the circles don't have any depth.
No.
They're broad, but like this guy and this guy and this guy can't triangulate. So we all know this guy and have the same 3 different people the same, this guy's going to be good.
So our size, our limited size, is actually kind of our advantage in a lot of ways. And I think there's nothing secret sauce about this. I think that any company could come here, set up shop, and do this. It's really just a matter of finding the people to help them expand that network.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess a question that I do have is so you were there before Radiant 6 got started. And that was when you were 19 shaking khakis, right? Khakis?
He's like, I was never shaking.
Yeah. No,
I'm sure everyone was.
Strong, yeah.
Every one of us is on. So how has, Fredericton, but Atlantic Canada changed since that time?
Oh, man.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
My favorite question.
So in 2001, I graduated from high school, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to university.
Okay.
So I took 50 resumes, and I say 50, it was roughly 50. And I walked up and down this street, up and down Queen Street. I went over the north side. I drove all over the city applying to e-learning companies, graphic design studios, you name it. I was a designer / developer. Didn't get a single call back from that entire experience, which can be pretty disheartening at that age, right?
Yeah, totally.
So that was 2001. 2003, I started freelancing. I'd been in university for a few years, but then, 2003, opportunities were just starting to reveal themselves because 2001 was the dot-com bust, right? So, I mean, even here, we felt the ripples of that dot-com bust, but not as much as you might in New York or LA or something like that, obviously. Shortly after that, I went to work for a company called Red Cow Technologies. You're probably familiar with Red Cow. They've been around for ages. I think they went out of business a while ago. But actually, my first office was on a old door in a flooded apartment in Marysville, in a basement apartment, basically. Old door on top of 2 speakers. And we actually used the doorknob hole to route the mouse wire. So it was kind of
That's so awesome.
And it was me and a buddy, Oliver. He worked there as well. And basically we were sitting, Jeff would be Oliver. I would be here. I'd be coding all day. He'd be coding. We'd be listening to 50 Cent. And we would just be making real estate websites all day long. Quit my job, and probably 8 months after I joined there, I quit that, and I went freelance completely. Didn't really enjoy the idea of a full-time job being kind of like locked down to that. I wanted some variety. Then, I started to get some opportunities at startups. So Q1 Labs was one of the first ones that hired me full-time. So I joined Q1 Labs, worked there for a bit, probably about a year and a half, made some great connections there, got laid off, and within probably 2 weeks after I got laid off is when we started Radiant 6.
Right.
So Chris Newton gave me a call. I had 2 other opportunities, and what's funny is about those opportunities, both of them went out of business probably less than a year later, and Radiant 6 didn't. So anyway, went to work there, kind of never looked back. But as far as how it's changed, you could walk out of school, and if you're a good developer, you apply yourself, a good quality engineer, whatever it might be, UX designer. God, yes, go become UX designer. We need them. You can write your own ticket. I mean, it's truly a employees market, especially in Atlantic Canada, where we're low on talent and high in demand, relatively. So it's changed tremendously. Even the recession, 2008, 2009, it wasn't so bad here. We felt the ripples similar to that. But, I mean, if you're good, you can really make a go of it here. If you're not good, the downside of that, of course, is that you're found out pretty quick. Right. So, which kind of works in our favor, again, as an employer, to weed people out.
I think that's with every industry in a small community.
Yep.
We Jeff and I often talk a lot about different salespeople that have sold us things.
Yep.
I know. Yeah. We're not that big enough yet. We're not. So.
Oh man!
So what about
one day?
So people at home don't know this, but we have a bunch of developers sitting here in this room.
Yep.
And Alex is brand new. Cody's doing a great job, and he just started getting into mobile. And Cody, the other Cody over there, is too busy working to talk to us.
Do you ever call him Cody 1 and Cody 2?
Actually, Cody's a captain, so we call him the captain.
Okay.
He's actually captain of a ship.
Cool.
Yeah. So, what do you have for advice for these guys?
Stay with Hotspot. Let's go.
Oh, that's good advice. That's solid.
If you're gonna go more abstract,
you could go. That's actually great. We'll just shut it down.
Yeah. I think the thing about being in a startup, it's hard to really quantify how amazing it is. If someone has never been in a startup, you can't describe to them what it's like to fly by the seat of your pants all the time, right? You've got a task list over there, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, test yearly charges. Geez, that's a very broad task, right? In my job, we're doing roadmaps like, 3 or 4 months out, and we've got like documents like this describing a feature, right? So startups are kind of cool because you can really get your feet wet. There's a ton of upside, and there's so many startups around, and they're doing really cool things. I mean, it's hard to if you don't have the commitments, like if you don't have 3 kids under the age of 3 like I do, if you don't have a house to pay for and all those things, like, get your feet wet with some startups and get some experience. And often the inverse can be true as well. If you're an entrepreneur and you don't know enough about the business world, go out, get that job at that big corporation, understand how the world works, and apply it. Right? A few years later.
I would have really valued that now that I've been doing this for a while.
Well, you were thrown into it. You didn't have much of a choice.
Okay, if it's okay with you, you're moving. Why are you moving? Where are you moving? It's a good story.
Explain yourself.
Yeah, so I've recently, my wife and I kind of had this epiphany that we wanted to live downtown. So we bought a condo above an adult-themed store downtown.
This is not a sponsored public podcast.
No,
it is the sex shop.
Yeah.
So insert jokes here, right? It's really funny. We just kind of realized the suburbs. I mean, Fredericton's changing a lot. You look at what's going on with Officer Square. You look at what's going on with Carlton Street. All the development that's happening.
It's improving a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool place to live. Like the best restaurants in the city are down here on Queen Street and King Street, right? And we spend a lot of time downtown. On the weekends, we pile 3 kids into a car. Imagine getting a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old into a Suburban. Imagine how long that takes.
It's like my nightmare.
Yes. You wake up in the middle of the night sweating and screaming.
Yeah. Tomorrow's battle.
So
I get it.
We just kind of decided we want to live downtown. So we bought this condo. We're going to develop it. It's going to be really cool. And we're going to be steps away from 3 doors down from 540.
So cool.
Yeah. And we're all going to be neighbors, so that's going to be great.
Yeah, we're going to hang out.
Yeah.
But we're ahead of the curve, So I think in 5 years' time, everybody's going to be like, what am I doing out here not to say there's anything wrong with the suburbs, but just like, what am I doing way out here when I could walk to something and spend the time that I spend driving or just angry in traffic or whatever.
Well, having a high walkability score is I think such a key to happiness.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at places, I also live in a condo downtown. I totally buy into everything you're saying. Like, you're looking at that walkability score. Can I walk everywhere to everything I would really need? Can I walk everything I'd want? That's good to go.
The answer is today you can't. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And it won't be solved until we all kind of move downtown, right?
Yeah.
Or realize that there's a need to concentrate more urban.
Yeah, but have you seen the Imagine Fredericton document they have going?
Yeah.
It's a pretty checked out document.
It is.
I hope they I certainly agree with every single direction.
It's a long-term plan.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
It was good though. I was talking to the mayor the other day because we do live in Fredericton, where sometimes you can just see the mayor and just be like, "Yep, okay, lock on. Here's my 5 key suggestions that need to go into that document."
That doesn't happen in Boston.
No, in Toronto, I'd be like, somebody tase this guy, right? Yeah. Here, it's like. Those are great ideas, Jeff. Can you email them to me by tomorrow? No problem.
You have my email, right?
Yeah, obviously, right? And then, and he put them. I was like, they have a macro plan. So for the micro plan, we gotta get Brian on record on his thoughts of Imagine Fredericton. One of my thoughts was Queen Street from May to Labor Day weekend. Instead of it being like a 2-lane one-way street, let's make it only 1 lane.
Or pedestrian only.
I like pedestrian only too, but I feel like that's a harder fight to win.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start with pedestrian only, and then we'll meet in the middle of 1 lane.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll worry about the tactics in a second, right? But how much greater would our city be if Queen was so much more walkable in the summertime, and they pushed all those patios out?
I know,
right? Like 540 patio, good.
I want to do.
Could be great.
Why can't those patios be permanent?
Oh,
right.
Totally.
I mean, I watch poor 540 putting theirs up every year, and it's like I'm waiting for that thing to be open because I love being on the patio there.
Of course.
And I'm like, why can't these places just have better infrastructure to allow them to do that kind of thing, right? Why can't they be a pedestrian only street or something like that?
Adam Clausen right now is Red Rovers fighting with the municipality just like about how to get, because he wants to basically buy the parking spot in front and move the patio into the streets.
Yeah.
And there's precedent to do that, but it's just like
in bigger cities like in Boston, for example, if you buy a parking spot downtown, like in the financial district, $100,000 to buy that parking spot.
Yeah.
Then you own it, right?
Yeah.
And you can do whatever you want with it. So,
and the municipality's going to make a ton of money off $100,000. Like,
I don't know I don't know the reason why you wouldn't be able to do that.
You should see what it costs to hotspot the spot all month or all year.
That's
right?
what he should do.
He should work it out with the folks at Hotspots, see if he can get himself an aggregated rate or something like this. Or and then be like, hey, City, like I have this spot for the whole year. It's already booked.
You can code him a hotspot bot that just goes and renews it every 2 hours.
We wouldn't do that. Guys are back there like, oh god. Okay, cool. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I'm going to run by another growth thing. So when you do move down here and you got your little kids, you're going to go to the market every single Saturday, right?
I go to a market every single Saturday anyway. So,
right? Yeah. As do I. And when do most of us go? Like, I live right beside it. That's where my condo is. I'm the one that actually is sort of almost in the market, right?
Are you in like the old prison?
Across from it. You know, there's the old prison, and then there's like that parking lot, and then this like sort of gray nondescript condo.
Yeah.
And I still only make it there at like 11.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so funny.
But yeah.
Well, my oldest will get us up at about 6 a.m.
Oh, you've got a built-in alarm clock.
11 is a long time from 6 a.m.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah.
But my point is instead of having to go from like 6 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, another one of my amazing suggestions is why not have that thing go to like 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And you can start it later, but like, I live right beside it. So
Have you been in the north side one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they started out doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they did, I think it was like 10 to 4 every day, pretty much. And they still do 10 to 4 Saturday and Sunday. But, I mean, that place is packed. You go in there at 3 o'clock, and there's still tons of people in there. So the demand is there.
They said that, I was reading, like, some article, and it said that, like, what people today feel like they're missing with all this technology is authenticity. So we're, like, going after all these authentic experiences, and, like, handmade stuff is right up there, right?
Yeah.
I think with the market, like, you go there anyway, you get your groceries there. It's way cooler than going to a grocery store, and everything's better. But like, a big draw is that it just is way cooler.
Oh, yeah.
And like, it just is, right? So imagine if that part that, like, kind of in between the building and the food truck row, you didn't have anything in there, but you just had seats and tables, right? Then maybe, they already sell beer and cider in the place anyway. Maybe just let people like drink in that area, right? And you went to 6. I think you'd have a lot of people kind of just hanging out. Cause
why couldn't the microbrews have?
That's what I'm saying. And the
yeah.
microbrews are a thing, so we're celebrating that. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. I love to hang. Maybe that's why I like a podcast.
Yeah.
But I think there'd be a lot of people just hanging.
Oh, yeah.
And the market, and we do live in a city where a lot of us know each other. Right, there's a lot of overlaid social capital. We all know each other, but we don't see each other day to day. Like this guy, he's minding the shop. I'm minding the shop. You're minding the shop. We're all minding the shop. Yep. But that's the one day where you kind of go to the market and do your thing. I think there'd just be a little bit less of us going getting our stuff and being like, oh, is there someone to hang out with or a place to sit? If there was just a seating area, all the food truck food, you'd sit there, you'd hang out. You just see so many more people you'd catch up that little bit more often. I think it would, in a way that isn't easy to measure, but is obvious, it massively increased the social capital that we already have in spades here.
Well, you take an example.
Am I making sense?
Well, yeah. Look at Greystone, right?
Right.
Greystone is amazing. The beer is great. They've got guest taps for other microbrews too. You walk in there, and if you walk in there on like a Wednesday night, you're going to recognize 10 people.
Yeah.
Like I recognize tons of people that we all know mutually. And you walk in there, you have a few beer, you get some Monks and Jonesies, you do that kind of thing. Monks and Jonesies is delicious, by the way. Very good. But it's really cool, and it's that exact thing you're talking about in a micro fashion, right?
Yeah.
But if you did it over there and you had a bunch of microbrews and stuff, why wouldn't people go there? Why wouldn't people start having a few drinks earlier in the day, and maybe the bars wouldn't be so packed at night. Nothing good happens after midnight down here.
Maybe a nice place where adults could drink, and respect out in the sunshine.
Yeah, like a respectable kind of thing. As
You'd be conscious there's families out.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, a big one for me that I heard about was the microbreweries really want to be the sponsors for Harvest Jazz and Blues. So they actually, if you think about it, you can't buy any of the the microbrewery?
Yeah, craft.
You can't buy the craft. You can't buy any of the craft brewery at these tents in Harvest Jazz and Blues.
Right.
And they're like, well, Moosehead is local, and nothing against Moosehead, but what's more local than the people sitting on Queen, sitting on King, making this stuff?
So I went to Portland for a friend's bachelor party not too long ago, and they have this great scene in Portland where they had I forget the name of the main brewery down there, but basically they had incubated all these other breweries in this industrial park.
That's cool.
And all these food trucks would show up, and they'd have all these outdoor patios, and people would be having fun. I saw people with their dogs there, their kids there. You know, it's not like a taboo thing to bring your family there and have some food truck and grab a beer, right? Yeah. What's the difference between that and a pub?
Right.
Very little, right? So, yeah, I mean, it is kind of weird at things like Harvest Jazz where in order to do that, you'd have to go to a patio like 540 or Red Rover or wherever.
Just kills the local.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just think that there needs to be a real focus. Like,
I mean, I like a Camo Moose Light just as much as the next guy, but...
Yeah.
But it doesn't hold a candle to Patagonia or whatever.
Well, on that note, a lot of places in America, their bars and that are like seem to be a little bit more than just like a room with music and alcohol, right? There's always something fun, some angle. And what we could do with the tannery too is make it so that, you know, on the Friday, Saturday, whatever, you know, you can't just park in it. Like it's blocked off, and you pay essentially like a cover to go into the area.
Yeah.
Then you've got sort of your bracelet. And the way I would do it, you have like an of age and not of age kind of bracelet, but you could do it either just of age, whatever. And then you can float to all the bars, right? You pay your $10 cover, you have a communal thing, and then, you know, from there it would just because we are Maritimers, would be awesome. Like then the next thing you know, there'd be like beanbag toss and like frisbee game, you know, like and those would obviously turn into drinking games and it'd be amazing. But you know, it'd be like
because we're Maritimers.
Yeah, exactly. We'd have all these like you see where I'm going with this. It's sort of like outdoor beer gardens where in an area that's already looks like it was built
to do
for that. Like it looks like a bunch of planners were like, this is gonna be the concept. We're gonna have this two-story bar here. You have this Irish pub here. You have like the Club Chrome for the people who are like I am, and all that kind of stuff. And then you got like the direct pizza, so if they get too drunk.
Do you ever go into Jack Pizza and they turn on the disco ball and the music?
I have a funny story about this.
Yeah,
I have a funny story about this. So I brought some folks up from our headquarters, and there's 3 or 4 of us out one night, and we ended up in Jack's Pizza, and Whitney Houston's "I Want to Dance with Somebody" came on. So I just kind of like started singing it, you know, in that like weird falsetto voice where it's like low, just so no one can really hear you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I started singing it, and then some other guys started singing it a little bit, and all of a sudden, the guy that was running Jack's Pizza at the time, he like hit this button on the wall, the disco light comes down, and
he picked it
just
up.
blasts it, right? And we made a video. I can probably find it for you if you want. But basically, it's all of us dancing, and like, we've got the, you know, like the little cheese shaker where like go like the. I mean, you don't get that anywhere else but the tannery, right? Did you guys happen to go to New Year's Eve in Officer Square last year?
No, I didn't.
Amazing. So I've lived here all my life. I can remember we used to have this thing called the block party or something like that long time ago. Probably like maybe even 20 years ago. But since then, there's been nothing really going on New Year's Eve, right? No public event kind of thing. So they had live music that was really good down there. They had a beer garden sort of fenced off with local breweries. And they had like a giant bonfire type thing. People were huddling around. It was cold. Cool. Like it was Canada Goose weather, but it was amazing, and it kind of gave me a glimpse into what you're talking about. Just the public being able to go into a space, not necessarily have to be of age. You know, like you can still go there with your kids or younger people, and you know, people doing things in outdoor spaces or indoor spaces that are just more inclusive than you know.
You can drink in this square. Yeah. And if you leave this square, then you're going to get a fine.
Yeah. Yeah, sensible. It's not like
a
Vegas.
little bit more inclusive than like you're indolence and raging or you're not. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Well, on that, let's kind of like flip it from smoking and joking, which I do love.
Sure.
I love that saying. I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's a great saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick that
you know, it's funny because I say it to some people and they're like, "Oh, you smoke?" I'm like, "No, you're missing the whole point."
He coined this term.
That's good. You get that tattooed.
Yeah, but I'm not a tattoo guy. Otherwise, you know.
Sorry, go on.
You're good. Put you on the spot. You know, you've obviously like you know, you're very humble, but you have been incredibly successful. And
sure,
you know, if you could, I'd love if you could give some words of wisdom, advice, guidance, however you interpret that to, you know, some of the younger folks who might be listening, or I guess folks of any age who might be listening and maybe don't get an opportunity to sit down with someone who, you know, has been so successful and in frankly a difficult field.
Sure. I actually, you know, to be honest, when you call it a difficult field, I view it as way easier to be successful in this field than it is to sell custom dress shirts. So, I mean, mad respect for somebody who's making physical product every day that's like, you know, basically greeting people at a door and guiding them through a process, and on the other side, a bag is going out, right?
Yeah.
To me, I think I said this a few months ago on New Brunswick Startup Community on Facebook.
Okay.
But to me, it's about finding the value that you can create. It doesn't matter what that is. I mean, Phil's got a bunch of great guys here that code and / run the podcast / go get them coffee, whatever it is, right? But you find that value and you figure out how to exploit it, because everybody needs something, right?
Yeah.
Whatever they need. So, in your case, I love custom dress shirts. Your dangerous shirts are a little bit out of my element. I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. I try not to draw attention to myself, so I don't want the flamingo sleeve.
Going on.
Yeah.
Right.
So, there's ways to to think about things like that. Like, there's so many business people in this city that need custom dress shirts. They're going to websites like Original Stitch and things like that, and they're buying them online. I mean, they could walk right down the street to Jeff Alpa and get them made, non-dangerous maybe, or maybe dangerous depending on who they are.
We do both, yes.
Yeah.
You're correct in that.
I'll have to come see it.
Yeah.
But basically, it's about finding that where you create that value, because they're spending $250 on an Eaton dress shirt or like a custom-made dress shirt, and you can make one in their own backyard if they knew about you, right? Mm-hmm. So, and for Phil, I mean, it's like, people need to park and people don't carry change anymore, right? That's your value.
Super simple.
And you want to get away from parking.
No man has ever wants to carry change.
Exactly.
Since the dawn of change.
Yeah. Who wants to carry around a wallet this thick anymore with every receipt they've ever had?
Pieces of 8 for this meat business. Out of control.
Yeah, but I mean, it really is all about finding value. So for me, finding value is essentially being able to figure out that people needed UI development and UX design at a time when really they didn't exist a whole lot. I exploited that. I kind of became that guy that could do that type of thing, and it kind of wrote my ticket, to be honest. So, and then it it became easier to do the entrepreneurial thing after that. Like you're always riding the back of your last story, right?
Well,
no matter what.
You know more people, you have more credibility, you have more resources.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, you're not starting from the bottom if you're starting again. On your next go. On that note, I will say, I'm just going to throw this out there. Tomorrow, we're having our grand opening party. It's not a shirt-selling affair. I'll be busy partying, so I won't be able to measure. The kids, dogs, the whole thing. Anyone's welcome.
All right.
You're welcome and encouraged to join us.
I'll stop by with the kids.
I'm going. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I'll stop by with the kids.
It's going to be a good one.
One thing, too. So you mentioned that you posted on the Facebook startup community.
Yeah.
I'd like to just say, as a public service announcement for me and my friends, we really enjoy when you post your thoughts on Facebook. It's very spot on to what we're thinking.
I might have to join this group. It might not be one that I'm on, but all right. I'm going to get caught up.
I've always been a little bit outspoken about things, probably more than I should be.
That's a great trait to have. I'm going to say that right now.
It's just that I can't sit by while people spread kind of misinformation. I mean, misinformation is why we have the current political leaders down south that we
It's
have.
an injustice. Misinformation is an injustice.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's, sitting
you got to
around,
fight for fairness.
You do. You have to, and I mean, you can't be so far at the end of the spectrum. Like, I don't even have that strong of a political view, honestly, either way, left or right. All I know is that I like people that are reasonable, things that are sustainable.
Yeah.
I guess
like 80% of people, but
Yeah.
the 80% of people don't tend to be outspoken on those things, which is why they're never in charge.
I get myself in a lot of trouble though, so I should.
I think it's hilarious. But anyway, all right, that's it. Good for me.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Freddy Beach. Thanks for joining us, Brian. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, guys.
Yeah, that was great.
That was fun.
Yeah, great to meet you.
Cheers. Great to meet you. Cheers.
We're getting some text. People are watching, so that's fun.